Ugh. Mike, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, bet. Everything okay?
It's fantastic. So, in the spirit of the conversation, I actually at my son's awards banquet, and we've been here since 2:30, and we're at Urban Air. We just shut it down. So,
Wait,
you
say that
text me
again.
like, guys, I gotta go. Like, I really, really gotta go. So,
Hey, wait. So you're at a banquet?
yeah. Well, I'm at Urban Air, which is like an indoor play thing.
Uh
We
huh.
just closed it down, but it's all good, bro.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah. I mean, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good scenery in terms of what the conversation is going to be all about. Now, this is like a sports related thing, no?
Absolutely, it is. Listen, at the end of the day, what are we talking about? We're talking about coming here, spending money on kids to support and reward them for hard work ethic, which is what the ultimate goal is, to get them to understand that if they work really hard and they do the right things, that they'll be rewarded in some
Hmm.
way, shape, or form, even though it doesn't go their way. But we have to continue to instill that in them and push forward that hard work ethic is still going to take you places.
I mean, we can kind of just cut through all the intros at this point and just kind of, I guess, give the listeners about a little bit about who you are, where you played, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, your coach Mike, and just go again. I'll give you the mic. Seeing that you're already doing this stuff. See, this is what I love about these live streams. We don't just attract people that talk it. The man is actually working an event on Sunday, and this is what we're here to discuss, guys. So go ahead. I'll give you the mic and talk a little bit about yourself and what you're all about.
No problem, man. Coach Mike Miletus here. I go by Coach Unitas. Started my nonprofit about a year ago, but been doing work in the community for the last 5, 6. I coach, I motivational speak. I'm involved in the community in many different shapes and forms, especially the black community. And I'm really doing everything I can to try to make a difference and bridge the gap between law enforcement and the community. Retired cop now, so now I'm pushing it a step further. I'm really big on mental health, really big on development, really big on helping the parents too, because the parents need a lot of help and helping them with their struggles and their problems. Because if you want to invest into a kid, you have to invest into their parents as much as you can. A lot of times it may not work in your favor every day, but ultimately, if the parents know you're genuine and you're doing things the right way and you really genuinely care about their kid off the field, you will succeed. You will succeed, and it's a blessing to be involved with the kids. I mean, I think that anybody who's involved as a teacher, a coach, a counselor, anybody who really tries to put up for the community has is such a high reward, and there's so
Hmm.
much to do that I really I commend people like that. And there's many different ways that we can talk tonight about how we can help the community better, how we can help the
Uh-huh.
kids better prepare them for college. But ultimately, my foundation of what I want, I believe in with Coach United's foundation, everybody that's on my board is, our 4 pillars. Uh, they're in there. Our 4 pillars, which are leadership, on the floor, right by Coach Duke, right by the trash can. I'm sorry, one of the kids asked me where the shoes are.
Good.
Leadership, mental health, professionalism, and conflict resolution are the 4 things that I try to instill in
Hmm.
every kid that I touch. My nonprofit, the same thing, and all the people around are like-minded in that regard and want to see the kids succeed. Um, ultimately, you learn a lot when you're involved in the community, the struggles of people, what they've gone through in their life, bad
Right.
teams they've been on, from every age group, from Optimist to high school. And you want to touch the kids and try to help them understand that the shortcuts are not going to work, that the
Right.
little things matter, the details matter, and that a lot of times, especially with NIL coming, the entitlement,
Hmm.
the entitlement. I was this coach did this coach did that for me. Do you want to be a little league legend, or do you want to be on play on Sunday? Now, I may not have all. I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. I never my career never went past high school. Never played
Hmm.
past high school. I just got involved in the community, became a cop, and then saw the opportunity to really try to make a difference after George Floyd and after everything that happened with a lot of my friends, in their life. I really, really, it touched me and it put me in a position to where I wanted to make a difference. And you can people can talk all they want. What's up? We'll see. All you can talk all you want, but at the end of the day, actions. I mean, I got these kids with me right now. My son,
There
my
you
friend.
go. What's up, little man?
So, we're having a ball right now, man. We're trying to
Right.
get Jason. Get Jason. Yeah, we're trying to do what
All
we
right.
can to
So
help these kids out, man.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you jumping on, even though you're obviously you're doing stuff with the kids. But what I do want to ask, and in regards to a lot of the parents that you work with, and one of the things that actually came up today in the Dolphins coaching clinic, because there was a guy from the NCAA there, he was saying that South Florida has the kids with the most scholarships. However, they're not able to move forward with the scholarships because their academics aren't on point. Like he put the numbers out there, he put percentages, he put the whole thing out there. So how do how are you able to service that component of athletics? Because obviously South Florida has the athletes. That's why I moved here myself. They got the dogs, but it's clear that the numbers are showing they're not succeeding in the classroom, and that's hindering them from getting a lot of scholarships. So how do you see yourself kind of being a person that helps with that component?
Well, I mean, it's a very deep question. I can tell you this right now. We have to do a better job at holding academics to a higher standard. What I mean by that is when you find out that one of your best players has bad grades, they can't play, and you have to explain to them why that's important. Because I coached little league and high school last year. I
Mm-hmm.
had two kids last year in high school, would have been D1, but they didn't have the grades, and it was an opportunity for them to put their foot down and grind on it and do it. I think the biggest thing is if we don't really instill these things in these kids at a young age, and and it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do because at the end of the day, um, you have to fight the parents and bad habits. And ultimately,
Right.
when you're trying, what we're really talking about is replacing bad habits. Because it's easy to say, oh, put him in study group, put him with this, put him with that. No, it doesn't work that way because at the end of the day, if the kid does not have the discipline to do it on his own, he's never gonna, and he doesn't have the support at home. How are we expecting a child, teenager, to buckle down and do it? He has to make the decision up on his own, and hopefully, we get more support
Mm-hmm.
from the coaches that they come up with. But little league is a disaster. It's a
Now, when
disaster.
you say support, what would support look like for you? Like, would it be from the high school coach coming down and putting his foot down and saying, look, this kid's not playing? Or would it be like them maybe providing tutors? How would you kind of define support for anybody that's listening that wants to help?
I mean, listen, when it comes to support and helping the kids out, what I would say is I believe in building a village, and I think the biggest thing we need to do as leaders, from your standpoint to the teachers to everybody, is we have to stop pointing fingers, and we have to start
Mm-hmm.
working together. I think too many times, well, football's not that important, or this is not important. Well, everything is important, but at the end of the day, what are we trying to do? What's the goal? The goal is to get the kid into college. Okay, he has a
Right.
great skill set that God blessed him with. How do we get him to college? And I think that instead of working, we need to do a better job working together. And everybody needs to respect everybody's position and understand we all want the same thing for the kid to shine. I would like to see more of a systematic program installed into public schools, like
Mm-hmm.
private schools, where they have the support all the way around from the administrators to the tutors to everybody.
Right.
At the end of the day, um, in public school, you are behind the curve. You do have less resources. You do have less help, and it's not easy being a public school coach. It's not. But at the end of the day, if we really want to help change these kids' lives, we have
Right.
to come up with the right support structure and right programs in the school to help these kids out. Please, people done. And
I got you.
it's not something that I see a lot greatly. Now, what my nonprofit does is we
Yeah,
can help.
that actually, yeah, you beat me to it. I was gonna ask you, how
Yes,
would your nonprofit be able to fix that?
we can get a hold of a child and his family and sit down with them and say, listen, let's talk about all these issues you're having, and then we dissect. And usually, you're going to have some type of family dynamic where you may not have both parents at home. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Financially, they may not be able to afford a lot, and there may be some issues where um, there could be some prior trauma that plays a role. My first thing is, okay, let's identify the home dynamic. Forget school, forget anything. If you don't have peace at home, how can you expect a child to go to school and perform? If they know when they come home, it's worse. You
Mm-hmm.
know, everybody looks at home should be a sanctuary for everybody, and a place of peace, and a place where a child
Yeah.
feels comfortable,
Oh man,
rested.
I get that. So I mean, and I hate to cut you off on that, but
That's
that
okay, brother.
point that you made is so very important. All right, because too often do I hear it kind of being glamorized that football is a kid's safe haven, like it's their place of rep, it's their place where they need peace. That's a business. Okay, football is a business. The fact that they say that that's where they get their peace is an indictment on what's going on in the home. And the home needs to be where they get their peace. Football is a business. It's chaos. All right. You're never going to, you shouldn't find it peaceful. All right. You should always kind of be competing. You should always be kind of on that edge where you're working hard. Now, I get what they're saying kind of from a big picture standpoint. But when you hear that at the home, the people that are listening to me right now that have the responsibility of building a home, that's something that you have to take into consideration. You almost have to take it as an insult when your kids say, okay, the football is the only place where I can kind of have peace. You got to start taking it as an insult, start to build a home in which, all right, that's where your peace is. That's where you have your foundation.
I agree with you 100%. How do we take the American family and
Mm-hmm.
give them the resources and tools to make them feel like they're whole? Because what people don't understand is that people that come from a very broken dynamic where a scarcity mindset comes in, and you have a lot of broken homes and families that have been generations on welfare or are used to just surviving the day, is
Mm-hmm.
how do you change that and create a family dynamic to where they feel comfortable talking about their problems and getting help for them. It's not easy, and people, I think a lot of people understand that's the issue, how big mental health affects the Black community, but it's not something that they really want to talk. It's not something that wants to be talked about. It's one of those things where us just brush on the rug. No, mental health is huge, and getting the family dynamic on point and then head in the right direction where there's communication, where people don't feel shame about things, and you're able to help a mother with her situation where she feels you get her help her with her life, like what are
Mm-hmm.
we doing to help these people out, like help them, educate them, help them with a resume, help them interview,
Yeah.
help them get a job, help them learn skills, because what my nonprofit does is I want to teach people how to fish. I don't want people to depend on me to help them. I want them to learn how to do it on their own so they
Mm-hmm.
can thrive on their own. And once they're thriving on their own, they have that self-esteem. You will notice a drastic shift in the way the family is. You'll see the smiles. You know, there's going
Yeah.
to be there. Eventually, there'll be food in the fridge. And they'll be able to kind of fend for themselves and do more for themselves. And eventually, they'll make better business decisions. A lot of them can't see past the day, and they just want out. Maybe we're dropping on businesses, and they just want what's ahead of them now. And unfortunately, short money is fast money, and that's not going to equal to the long game, because there are plenty of people out there who want to help you. And I think now more than ever, with the way the economy is, the way this country's going right now, people want to help. People say, "Well, this isn't working. We're not getting along. Everybody's pointing fingers. What can we do to help fix the problem?" Because I
Yes.
think people underestimate the human spirit and how resourceful humans are. They really are. And when it comes down to it, when the chips are down, people will do the right thing
Yeah.
if they're given the opportunity to do the right thing. And
Okay. So
we're
to,
all
and I
struggling
see
right
you're
now.
busy. So
And
one
I
of the
don't want to
things,
see any more of these kids
oh, go ahead.
go through that dynamic. Go
Yeah.
ahead, go
So
ahead, go ahead.
one of the things I want to make sure we get this on record because I know you're riding around. So
That's
when it
cool.
comes to NIL and the way it's structured, I think I might have mentioned this to you. If not, I'm telling you now. But there are situations now where kids are able to cut deals that they're going to lead them. They're set up in the future. Like I think Snoop Dogg's league, it got announced that there was a kid that signed a six-figure deal out of Snoop, like while he's in third grade. He doesn't have access to the money till later on in life, and his parents managed it and all that kind of stuff. So, with that in mind, how can you see yourself kind of fitting into the world now where NIL is becoming more and more of a big deal as we move forward?
I want to be very honest with you and whoever's listening. I'm very nervous about that. I don't feel good about it
Right.
because everybody's hurting for money, and especially people who play football that come from poverty. You're going to see listen. There's no
Mm-hmm.
loyalty now, but I can tell you this much: there's definitely going to be no loyalty as time goes on, and people are going to go to whoever's going to pay them the most. And unfortunately, because competition is what drives this country to another level,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very worried and concerned that the wrong people are going to get involved in this. But I have a feeling it's going to do more harm than good. Yeah, it's going to do more harm than good. When you're going to see a lot of kids and a lot of families torn apart. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
coaches are going to get caught up in the hype and thinking that they're offering the best deal. But at the end of the day, what are we doing to fiscally and legally responsibly make sure that this is done the right way for the right reason?
Right.
Because we both know it's not going to happen. We both know it's not
Right.
going to happen.
So that's my question though. Like I get what you're saying, and like everything, there's equal amount of trade. There's no perfect situation in life. As much as we like to make things equally bad, I mean, everything has equal bad and equal good to it. Like, how are you able to maybe help families that are in situations like that, or the ones that have been burnt by what is NIL is actually doing? Because I get what you're saying in terms of it going into the wrong hands, and now a kid is only going where the money is and all that kind of stuff. How do you able to kind of keep a family from really falling apart because of all the money that's involved?
You're going to really have to have a great. You're going to have to build relationships.
Yeah.
That's the toughest thing is you're going to have to build real relationships, and it's going to take time to really earn the trust to the point where you are able to have some type of impact to where they're going to listen to you, and they're not going to let the situation drive them apart or drive them in the wrong direction. Because once you have there's so much talent in here. I mean, I can give you kids nicknames now and stuff like that are 10 years old, 11 years old. They're superstars, and they're gonna have a chance to have dabble in NIL. I don't know how much it's going to be or how it's going to be controlled, but we have to have systems in place with laws and structure that allow things to run the right way. If you make it a free for all, like the way college,
Like the way it is now, like the way actually that's what my previous guest. So he works at the University of Minnesota. He said, like the problem is they made it a free for all.
You're going to have real problems. You're going to
Wait,
have
go
real
ahead.
problems. It's going to get bad real quick. Did I lose you?
Yeah, I think you were in the dead zone. Go ahead. You can repeat it.
Yeah. If you do not have laws and systems in place to help govern and monitor the way NIL is distributed in high school and on down, you're going to have serious problems about how the culture and the community of South Florida is greatly affected, because it's not going to be good. I mean, listen, I am no NIL expert. I don't have the answers. I don't know all the law. I follow a lot of it. I read a lot of it. But the way it's being used right now is really, really, really ruining football, because we're not teaching. We are fighting a very dangerous battle between good coaching programs and making money, and how that scale balances back and forth all the time, my friend. And dude, it's bad. It's what we can only speculate what can happen. I just don't see anything good coming from it. I don't.
So here's what I found out today, to be honest with you, Mike. So the University of Miami, the Hurricanes, one of I think it was the DB's coach that was there today doing the clinic, and I asked him about NIL stuff, and he looked at me and said, "We're not even allowed to talk about it. Like him as an assistant coach cannot go to a recruit and even discuss NIL. We can't talk about the numbers. We can't do anything with it." And we ended up having a good talk, because I realized, I'm like, yo, that should be the person talking to you about NIL, your position coach, the person that's actually recruiting you in your living room, is going to be with you the most. So I think the problem is, again, communication and lack of relationships. Like the kid that is going to get the money is going to be talking to this assistant coach who's in the dark about how much money he can make NIL wise. He can't help the kid. Like there's so many things that they're kind of handicapping the assistant position coaches with, that I feel like there has to have some sort of communication that's being trickled down to the youth kids. Like the takeaway I took from that conversation was there's such a huge void in terms of how to get the money to where the athlete and the talents are. It's like you got the talent, all right, here's the person with the money, and they just gonna do whatever. But there needs to be some foundation in between, a go-between that's not a collective, that says this is how things are gonna work, because that's the one that's recruiting you.
100% agree. I agree with everything you said. It's the fact that you're sharing that information right now, and that's being said, is very scary, because it's letting you know right now that the lack of control, that means they have to be silent about it, because it gets out of hand really, really, really bad.
Like, yo, he was scared to talk to me about it. Like, I mean, I'm not a recruit. He was scared. He was scared to have a come. Like, all right, man, it's all good.
That's funny, dude. That's funny but scary at the same time, because I'm here to learn. I'm trying to find out more, but I mean, like that post that came out today, you have third string running back saying, if you don't give me $100,000, I'm out, because these kids know how hard it is to make it to the NFL, and they come from nothing, a lot of them, and they know $50,000, $100,000 $200K could change their family's life. It really can.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money, you know. And at the end of the day, these kids deserve to be paid. It's just we're still going through the growing periods of how
Mm-hmm.
the schools are getting the money, working with these collectives and these boosters, and finding a way to make their programs win. I mean, but you have kids that are threatening to leave. Give me $1 million or I'm gone. Give me this or I'm gone. I mean, it's crazy to think that, but at the end of the day, listen, we created this monster. Now we have
Yeah.
to tame it. We
Yeah.
really did. I mean, and so at the end of the day, there's nobody to blame but ourselves because we
Yeah.
allowed the greed of winning to take over. And now it's to the point where it's like, well, we've been known that kids, athletes have been getting paid. Now it's legally allowed to happen. But you're seeing coaches bow out now because they're realizing they can't just bully everybody with the bank account.
Yeah.
So I think younger coaches are going to start stepping up now, but I think
Yeah.
you're going to see Congress get involved very shortly. Within
That
another
that's
year,
kind of
to really
well, that's
try
kind of
to
what he said
guide
he
this.
kind of said in a tongue in cheek way. He goes, I'm talking about the Miami because you guys like I know it still gets done, but technically the rules say we're not. But he was looking at me like, yeah, certain things happen behind closed doors, but and your point about we created that monster is huge, and I want all the adults and all the the older people to really listen to me when I say we got to stop with the patronizing of these kids. All right,
Agree.
I get. I
Agree.
went to a school that has tons of players in the NFL right now, so I get it. I understand how much easier they make your job, but they are still kids. I get that they're great athletes. I get that they have a lot of scholarship offers. They might be your go between you and a college coaching job that you so desperately want. But you got to understand you can't use the kids and shop the kids as if they're like your show ponies. All right, they're human beings. You have to treat them as they're human beings. They got to be disciplined. One of the great things my high school coach was Coach Malloy. He would scream at the All Americans the same way he'd scream at the FCS dudes, and you would not know the difference. And that's what made him the most winning coach in Maryland. So if you take anything from this live, and this will actually be going on my podcast as well, is make sure you're doing that. Because as you can hear the passion in Coach Mike's voice, you can hear the passion in my voice. It doesn't matter where we are. The bottom line is this is a problem that is going to it's going to get worse before it gets better. And we need young coaches to step up and start to, fix this stuff because I mean the game's gonna go on regardless, but these are the kinds of things that can ruin it if we're not careful.
I'm
So
with you. I'm with you 100%. I mean, listen, you in South Florida, you play ball down here, you got talent. Little League opens up the doors for parents to get paid for their kids' talent. I mean, I've seen 6 and 7 year olds go for $5,000. You know,
mm-hmm,
that teams are willing to pay for to have them on the team. eight
mm-hmm.
thousand dollars just because they want to win that bad, and it starts right
It's
there. That's
crazy, man.
where it starts because the kids know they're good. And the kids
Are you
hear what goes
serious,
on.
Doug? Like I didn't
Yeah,
even hear that.
yeah, and the kids get paid. They'll pay for players, and that's just the way it is down here. You're not going to change it. It's part of recruiting, and it's basically why these coaches love us down here because this is the most competitive market in the country.
Yeah.
These kids are competing from the moment they are born and play outside with their siblings and in their neighborhood. Look at the weather down here right now. I mean, outside of it being a rainy day, dude. I mean, it's in the
Mm-hmm.
70s and 80s and 60s. It's football weather year round, you know.
Yeah.
And you just got to understand that this type of market, the way it works here, it carries its way into high school. It goes into college, and it's just crazy to me because I have kids that some of them are getting bad grades. Some of them are getting better grades. Some of them we have to stay on top of them. You know, when you get to high school, dude, their first semester in ninth grade is the most important. That's going to dictate whether you're playing catch up or you're just trying to stay afloat. You know, and it's sad, man, because the manipulation of single moms and using and then them realizing that their kid could give them an opportunity to live better also too plays a role. But
Mm-hmm.
who am I to tell a mother or a family that has nothing, and then someone's offering money for their child to help pay them? Who am I to tell them not to take that? That's not my job. I do things differently. I do things a completely different way using my nonprofit to try to help guide people and help them in the right direction. And I've had a lot of success with parents. I've got kids mental
Mm-hmm.
health help. I've gotten help with the parents. I put them in with social workers, with programs, put them in with psychologists. I have psychologists on board. I have trauma people who specialize in trauma on board that I can go to for resources and help them out. So, you know, you gotta really be invested into the family and mainly the parents. I'm telling you right now, the biggest thing is the parents. The kids are great, but the kids are still kids. They don't have a say in everything. And you can do all the nice stuff in the world for them, and the parents will appreciate that. And most of the time, they will go along though. But my thing is, what are you doing to help the parents? Like, listen, not everybody makes great choices in life. There are people who make a lot of poor life choices, myself
Mm-hmm.
included. I made mistakes too. But at the end of the day, what is the total approach that you're looking to help out? Because if I'm right now looking at NIL objectively, and this is me shooting from the hip,
Mm-hmm.
I think the private schools are going to have the number one pick in the NIL. They're going to have the best NIL deals, and they're going to use that to help recruit. Which eventually you're going to have private schools being in their own class themselves down here. I think that's where we're headed. You know,
I
you can't.
mean,
You're not going to be able to
it's. I
compete
mean,
with St. Thomas and
we're
Chaminade.
well. I'm glad you brought them up because they call it NIL, but this stuff has been going on for years, man. I mean, they have situations where you have to pay to go to those schools. Well, obviously, we know that there's athletes who don't pay because they're great athletes in certain
You have
situations.
all different
So
scholarship programs and,
yeah,
and,
you have
and
different
give back.
scholarship
Some go for
programs.
a lot of them go for free. Listen, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah,
I think everybody's scared. Everybody doesn't like saying the R word, the recruit.
hmm
I recruited you, or there's
right.
recruiting. Oh, there's because you can't recruit legally, but everybody does it. It's just not talked about, and then you hear teams get fined, and there's investigations that open up because
Yeah,
everybody's doing the same thing. But because I beat out your school and got this kid, you are automatically going to tattletale on me because you have a
hmm
screenshot of a text between a coach and a kid. You know, and
yeah,
that happens all the time too, which is very frustrating because it's like, so you lose and you're going to screw out this other team because you didn't get the kid. You know, we're our own worst enemy, man. We are our own worst enemy down here, and we're not doing anything as a whole because everybody's so worried about their own ship and winning
yeah.
that they're not focusing on the bigger problem. And I think we're going to need a lot of support and guidance down here in NIL in South Florida, especially because the way it operates right now without NIL is scary, but at least there's somewhat of level. But once you include NIL, which I don't even know how you're gonna think about it, little league leagues are gonna have to have rules now for this. Parks are
hmm
gonna have to have rules. I mean, there's gonna have to be investigation. I mean, it's gonna get crazy, man. We're not ready for this. You know?
Right. Well, that I mean, the fact that you said that kind of leads me to the final thing that I might find the final talking point in when I do with these is if you were like, let's say you were the person that was responsible for putting laws in place, especially at the youth level in regards to NIL. What would be like one or two things that you think needs to have happen in order for it to at least run? I mean, we all know it's not going to run smoothly completely, but at least for it to have some sort of cohesion to it.
I think you need to have a few things. One of them definitely is um, whoever is the NIL.
Hmm.
It can't just be a collective of a whole bunch of dads that own businesses that want to put money together and say that, oh, we recruited these kids and we won. It has to be legit businesses with legit intention of helping kids understand marketing,
Yes,
understand their value, and how to build them up and make them better people, not just use
got it.
them for a commercial for that. Two,
I got you. I don't want to cut, but so just so I'm understanding you, instead of a business, and this is for you business owners as well, because I do NIL deals with college athletes myself, and the conversation I had earlier today with a girl who plays basketball at Butler, I asked her about the deal she did before, and she did one with ZipRecruiter, and she looked at me and she goes, "There was really just no intention to it." That's what she said to me.
yeah,
So like what you said is important because if you're a business, I'm not gonna let you slap my kid on some commercial and you make your money off it and you never hear from the kid. No, I want you actually providing some resources that the kid can take advantage of. So, all right, I do this deal with you, and he's going to become a little more, he or she is going to become sharper as an individual. I'm going to learn how to do some sort of a skill, just so we're clear on that. But go ahead, man.
I mean, dude, you're 100% correct. And I want, if there's anything I want to work with companies that want to say, okay, looking at this as not a collective, but as an opportunity to help these kids be brand ambassadors and like,
Yeah.
listen, you have a big name 5-star kid who's at a top school. You know, how can we? You want to use that kid to market your school because there's nothing better than him being on national TV saying, "Hey, make sure you check out this business, et cetera, yada yada." People are going to do it just off rip just because of who the person is. But what are we doing to help that person? Because if we don't start teaching these kids on what their skills are as marketing, and how to market them and how to make money, what's the sense? Because you're just basically giving them an opportunity to make the money using their name and their face and their image and likeness. But we're not taking it a step further. We're really trying to groom them because a lot of these kids are smart. I think that's one of the biggest downfalls that people understand. Is these kids are very business savvy. Okay, they understand their value and they understand when you want something from them. They understand what they want from you. It's all about making it happen. But if we don't have a system in place to where things have checks and balances, and that there's a way to make sure a business is being done ethically, and we're doing things the right way, not just pimping a kid out or letting a parent do it for money because they want it, we're gonna have problems. We're gonna have serious problems, and you're never gonna be able to build successful kids who want to be developed for the right reasons. All they're gonna do is say, "I want to make money, I want to play ball because I just want to make NIL money." But the truth is, how can you discourage them from that because they come from nothing?
Right.
And if it's an opportunity for them to make 250K, 300K, 400K in college and get out, maybe they don't go to the league, but hey, they're able to use that money to start up a business, get into real estate, and help change their family stars. I'm all for that. But we have to put our greed and ego aside and come up with a really, really safe way to make sure that everybody's protected. Not just the kids, the schools, the athletes, the program, the brand, the kids, the culture, the future, because this is going to have drastic implications on how football is played.
Yeah.
And how we teach these kids how to survive in the real world because you're giving them an opportunity to make money based upon a skill set they have. But if we don't do it the right way and really do it to help them out and make sure they're set afterwards, all we're doing is using them to make money, and kids are just going to, it's a revolving door. And all you're going to do is have broken kids that are broke with families, and then nothing set in place. I definitely think they have to have a real manager. There should be financial responsibility involved, and not just letting them go buy jewelry or go buy whatever they want because they never had that. There has to be something in place to help teach them, and that's why I'm very passionate about what I do, because you're leading a kid astray just to make money off them, but you're not doing anything to help them out live. Because how many athletes go broke?
The numbers are staggering.
And what are we doing to help that? And that's what scares me, man. It really scares me, because you're basically letting them be addicted. The football's an addiction and gambling and everything. People make a living off of it in many different ways in this world. Coaching, you name it, marketing. But if we're not doing something to help these kids understand their value and how to make something out of it and how to keep that going, we're failing. They're just going to go broke, and then it's like, oh, you had the money, you lost it. Try to make this work so we can help people bless other kids. Bless their community. I don't know how many kids I know being down here that have made it. How many of them really come back and help out the community? How many of them really come back and have a real strong footprint in the community to help change kids' lives? Or what are they doing? Starting a nonprofit, just donating money so they don't get killed on taxes. Enough. There's plenty of other good. Here's one for you. How many trainers out there? How many good trainers sacrifice so much time, effort, and money giving these kids deals and breaks because they believe in them, and then these kids they can become millionaires and they don't come back to the community and bless them. That's a problem too.
That's a huge
You've been lucky to get NIL. You've been lucky to play college ball. Lucky to make it to league. You're a multimillionaire. What are you doing to come back and saying, I'm gonna help out. I'm gonna help start this program or help put these kids into college or build a community center with trainers who can help educate kids, not just in football but in life, mentors. That's what we need. And we need stuff for the parents.
Yeah, well, that was going to be my next point, because when you lay out the rules in terms of if we were to teach them at a young age, in many ways, to be honest with you, Mike, I don't know if a lot of these players know how. I know they want to help, but you got to think they've been told how great they are their whole life. The patronizing, the constant praise and the constant, you're so great, you're so great, you're so great. They don't know how to come back and do it. Like, they have so many people around them that at this point has taken advantage of them, and they have their money. They say, okay, I'm gonna do something in the community, and they feel like they actually did their part, because they just don't, in my opinion, I don't know if they have the skill set, or they they necessarily were trained to figure out how to get the money directly to the people that need it. And one of the things I actually talk about is in the book is making sure that we are teaching the financial literacy component at an earlier age, so they when they do make it, they just know, all right, there's certain people that are around in my team that don't need to be there, because you're just taking a percentage and not doing what it is you said you were going to do, and that
I,
affects my reputation. My
I
name is
agree with you.
behind these bullshit camps that you're putting on, where you're charging a couple $100 for these cams. My name's behind that. You're good because you're collecting the check or whatever. So those are the things that, again, like you had already mentioned, make sure that these people that are coming in, especially at the youth level and the high school level, their intentions got to be there. They got to have the right intentions. I can't stress that enough. The single mothers I teach to, I'm around them all day. They do not have a clue. They go on the Sports Center and they see um, Pat Mahomes signed for 400 million. That's what they know. And they thinking, I'm
No,
like,
you're completely right, and like it's so funny you say that because a lot. My son's team, there's a lot of single moms, and you have about 3 of them or 4 of them are football moms.
right,
They know the game. They know the rules. I mean, some of you know about leverage and numbers and everything. It's really
right,
funny. It's fun to talk to them. But like they understand the business side of it. And some of them even told me that, Mike, I'll never let anybody pay for my kid because they own you. And it goes, and it's the same thing when they get older. Everybody wants money and their kid to shine, but what are we doing to ensure that that lasts? You know,
yeah,
what are we doing to help the family out and get them to understand like this is a marathon, and while you're going through that marathon, there's going to be quick points in time where you're going to sprint and you're going to be able to make that money, but
yeah,
it's going to go by really really quick, you know. And what are you going to do to make sure that that lasts, or help prepare a plan to make sure that your family's taken care of? And it's very hard because humans just naturally want to be they want to be feel appreciated, they want to
hmm
feel valued, and at the end of the day, when there's money involved, you really start to see who is there for the right reasons
hmm
and who's just trying to put money in someone's pocket so they can make a lot of money off them. And I really want to do more in South Florida to help families understand the true purpose of NIL, but the true purpose of how to sustain and grow your family and your child on and off the field. Like our saying in Coach Unitas is, we don't want kids to go through life, we want to help them grow through life. You know? And if we're not constantly harnessing that plant and taking care of it, trimming it, feeding it, giving it water, and showing it love and staying with it,
hmm
it's exhausting, man. It's very tiring. And the more kids you're responsible for, the less time you have for yourself. Then comes compassion fatigue. Then
right,
comes, the logistical issues of, hey, this kid lives here. How do we get him to practice? You know, I mean, dude, there's so many ways that this can affect the community.
hmm
And if we don't do a good job of building a villages or having system in place to where we have the outlets and resources that parents need and the community needs to help them continue to deal with this in a positive way,
right.
we're just going to be creating a monster and multiple monsters on so many levels to where, I mean, you're going to have people walking around feeling so entitled that their kid's a little league superstar making 1,000, maybe making $5,000 for the season or 2,000
Mhm.
for the season. You know, it's going to create a lot of animosity. And it's going to be a very hard time to be a coach down here because parents are not going to have patience for anything other than I want my kid to be a superstar.
Right.
Now maybe that gets rid of the superstar teams that are created to win, but or maybe it doesn't. Maybe somebody comes in and says, I want to NIL that team because they have kids that I'm interested in
Yeah.
for the future. Because NIL is going to be used in Little League to recruit for high school. And it's going
Yeah.
to be used in high school
That's what they're
to
gonna
recruit
do.
for college.
That's what they're gonna do.
And that's just the way it's going to go. I'm telling you, man, I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not happy about it at all.
So I mean, I know I know this always happens. I'm gonna start telling people that these are gonna go 45 minutes instead of 30 minutes. But I do want to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit more about your company, how people get in touch with you, and stuff like that. So if anyone's listening, they can reach out, understand they feel your passion. I obviously feel your passion. I know you do some stuff with proactive athletes. So the floor is yours to kind of to close it out, man.
Listen, man, first I want to thank you for bringing me on. You're a gentleman. I mean, we had a wonderful time bonding at the football game. Sat in the best seats I've ever sat in my life.
Yeah,
You're a true
that was
gentleman.
PCA, by the way. I can't take credit for that.
Well, I'm gonna give you the credit, buddy, because
Yeah.
you called me, man. But yes, your company, everything you do with NIL. I mean, you've shed a lot of light, taught me so much too. But I mean, ultimately, I'm Coach Unitas. That's my name on Instagram. COACHUNITE us. Coach Unitas. Hit me up. You can DM me. You can call me. Cell phone's on there too. I have a website. It's www.coachunitas.org. That's my company's website for donations, for resources, for programs. You know, we have our Build Your Brand program. We have mental health. We have training. We have everything available that you would need to help your child grow off the field, on and off the field, and yourself as well too as a parent. And I'm always open. My phone's on 24/7, and I'm looking to participate more in the community, do some more events in the community that'll also help what we're talking about today with NIL, but with life, mental health, conflict resolution. Because let's face it, when you're dealing with money, you're dealing with business, you're dealing with conflict. Knowing how to keep a professional tone and not take things personal is a very important part of life. Because business is business, personal is personal. And my nonprofit, my goal, my footprint is all designed to help the community in South Florida sustain for many generations past when I'm gone. That way we have a safer community, a smarter community, and people who are better served about benevolence, because the more you give, the more you receive.
Well, I appreciate you for jumping on, Mike, and everyone that's been listening throughout. I know we switched up the times this week, but again, like I tell you, every Sunday we're going to be here diving in, talking NIL. So continue to stay tuned. And today I got a ton of leads, ton of contacts to bring in a even more great guest than I've already had. So fellow teammates, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate you, my brother. Have a wonderful evening.